The next piece I'll be talking about is Reclining Woman with a Book and Irises. The city and country of work is Frankfurt, Germany. The specific location is the Belvedere in Vienna. The artist responsible for the work is Max Beckmann. He is German. The medium of work is oil on canvas. The period of work is Expressionism, although the artist rejected the title and movement. That is what he's technically classified under. The historical relevance of the work, it was completed during Beckmann's time teaching a master class at the Staatschule Academy of Fine Art in Frankfurt, Germany. During this era, he began to peak in his career and popularity just before the rise of Adolf Hitler, just 2 years later. It's unknown how long it took to create. There's actually not a lot of information on this piece, and in my little fun fact section, it will explain why, but it is dated in 1931. This work is important because this piece in particular isn't very well documented or important necessarily in his career, but it does exemplify the fact that unlike several of his avant-garde peers, Beckmann rejected non-representational painting. Instead, he took up and advanced the tradition of figurative painting. The defining characteristics of this work are that in this piece, thick brushstrokes and saturated palettes depict a topless woman lounging on a sofa, reading a book in just a corset and stockings with a bouquet of blue irises on her lap. The historical contributions of Beckmann include: after fleeing Germany, Beckmann began to include heavy symbolism in his work to reflect the social and political state of Europe in the 20th century and how warped he was in World War I fighting, and then immediately was affected by the rise of Hitler. He took all that and put it into his work, and so that was reflected in the themes of his writing, of his pieces. His work went on to be displayed in many American museums after he immigrated to New York City, and in the 1940s, which heavily influenced Boston Expressionism and American Figurative Expressionism. My personal observation is that although the subject is exposed, the focus is really not on her being nude or her promiscuity. It's not like the much earlier eras where in the Renaissance and stuff like that, where a nude woman isn't that weird. At this time period, it would have been a bit more weird in regular society to just have a topless woman and her lingerie, but he makes it very normal and mundane. She's just reading a book and lounging on a sofa, which I thought was interesting. And I also liked that she doesn't really reflect the body type that was trending, which is stupid that it trends, but the trendy body type at the time I thought was interesting. How does it compare to other works from the period? As discussed earlier, the actual style and aesthetic is within the Expressionist movement, which is why he's classified as Expressionist artist, but the themes are quite a bit different throughout all of his works and this one, because it's not Expressionist in the way of it's reflecting his it's not Expressionist for the characteristics of Expressionism, if that makes sense. One fun fact is that in 1933, the Nazi government called Beckmann a cultural Bolshevik and dismissed him from his teaching position at the art school in Frankfurt. In 1937, the government confiscated more than 500 of his works from German museums, putting several on display in the notorious Degenerate Art Exhibition in Munich, which is why there's not a lot of information on all of his work. At least not from this time. Later on, when he kept making work in America, then that's when it did. But yeah, that's why.